Welcome to the Golden Moment podcast. My name's Mijo. This episode is called Mentors. So in the last episode, I shared my journey of becoming a songsmith. That leads me to talking about the single most powerful dynamic that I've set up in my career that has helped me the most. So my personality and the way I grew up as the youngest of three boys in a country town, it sent me into a direction of being quite independent from a very early age. And that has had many benefits. It's also made me so self-reliant that I have struggled to ask for help or to even think that I need anyone's help for anything. So I call this the songwriter lone wolf mentality or attitude. So when I got my first guitar, I didn't have a lesson for the first year because I was going to figure it out for myself, just like Jimi Hendrix. That didn't last long. So all I could do was kind of whiz my fingers up and down the fretboard and just make pretty inane, silly sounds and not really be making music. And I had to admit that a teacher might be quite helpful. So my first guitar teacher, Joe Monia, of course, was massively helpful. He showed me how the guitar works, how music works, how chords work. And that's when I really started to, accelerate my learning as a guitar player. I also had mentors in other areas of my life. So I did Taekwondo. I became a black belt and an Australian champion with the mentoring and guidance of my senseis. It's not something I could have done on my own. I played football, so I had a football coach, and he would point out, how to kick straight, how to kick the ball properly, how to pass to people, where to stand so you can, get access to the ball, different strategies, all of that sort of stuff. Again, it's not something I would have figured out on my own. So when it came to my music career, for some reason, I thought that I had to figure it all out. It's a really crazy idea now that I look back on it, that I thought that I would have all the skills and knowledge internally to navigate this quite complex industry that has many, many variables, can go in all different directions. And it's different for every single person depending on what you want to achieve, all that sort of stuff. So I just kind of went at it and tried a bunch of things, but it was very confusing and I never knew whether I was making progress. So for a long time, that's what I continued to do. And I did that for far too long. So the moment it really changed for me when I realized that I needed to be open to getting some guidance from other people was when I was on tour throughout Germany with Claire Bowditch and her partner, Marty Brown. And on that tour, we played lots of shows, and in the car between shows, we would talk about life, about music, about building a career, about songwriting, all these different things. And I really learned a lot in those conversations. There's these new ideas and new questions that I started to think about that I'd never really thought about properly before. And once the tour was over, it really struck me that the guidance and the direction that Claire was giving me was really helpful. It was giving me a lot of clarity, and through that clarity, I was way more motivated to work on certain things and move forward. So upon returning to Australia, I asked Claire to officially mentor me, and she mentored me for a period of time. And within the first few weeks, but even the very first week of that mentoring, I really uncovered more about who I was as an artist and what I was trying to do than I had in the entire probably decade of trying to figure it out on my own. So within 1 week, I really got to the core of a lot of things that were important. And that helped me focus on certain projects that needed my attention and certain things that I should just completely stop doing that weren't that helpful. And they were kind of distractions. And this really opened the floodgates, and it relaunched my solo career as a musician. I ended up going back to Europe, touring to 13 countries throughout Europe, making more fans, playing my music, and making a living from what I love doing the most. And at this point, I kind of turned back to the lone wolf and thought, you've got some explaining to do. So this was obviously an unhelpful pattern that I had gotten into. Like I said, it had its benefits because it allowed me to be quite independent in how I approach certain things, but I was also blocking a lot of advice and potential information that was going to be helpful. So from that point on, I have never had a period where I'm not working with a mentor. So normally I'm working with a mentor on a weekly basis, but I've also worked with a mentor by having contact daily. And daily is absolutely the best. And that's what I'm doing at the moment as well, having daily contact with a mentor. And what that does for me is it helps me stay really focused. It helps me stay accountable. It helps me make sure I'm working on the right things, remove distractions, and those simple things really help me to prioritize the thing that helps me build on my life's work. So since working with mentors, there are a number of keys and similarities between the things that they have all helped me focus on. And one of those things is daily habits and practices and routines. So in the next episode, that's what I'll share with you, is the habits and the practices that have had the most impact on my music and on my life. And at the end of this episode, I also have a little bonus side note about Jimi Hendrix actually not being the lone wolf original that we all thought he was. So stick around for that. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it gives you something to think about when it comes to mentors. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, give it your best rating, or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher, or wherever you're listening to this. Share it with a friend, post it on social media, leave a comment below. All of that really helps the podcast reach more music lovers and musicians. So please do that, and thank you for doing it. To get a free download of 5 of my best songs, you can head to mijobiscan.com/free-music to get a limited edition, personalized, signed CD of my latest album, Golden Moment, where you also get a download of the digital album and the artwork and lyric book. You can head to mijobiscan.com, GMCD. Thanks for listening. Stay golden. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.